Clutch Sports Talk. Let's go. Happy Monday, everyone. It's me, your boy, Ryan Flowers, a.k.a. Clutch Sports Talk in the house, man. I have another jam-packed show today. I'm going to talk a lot about NFL stuff, man. We got lots to cover there. Also want to talk about Oklahoma and Texas looking like they're going to be trying to get into the SEC. I'll give you my thoughts on that. Aaron Rodgers. I got to talk about the Cowboys. I got to talk about the NFL COVID policy. Is it retarded? Is it stupid? Like, what's going on with that? Also, a little bit about basketball. I want to talk about the Lakers and the rumors that are swirling around Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. Which out of those 2-point guards should the Lakers maybe go after? I'll give you my thoughts on that. So, hey, without further ado, man, you guys make sure you sit tight, lock yourselves in. This is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. Let's go. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Monday, man. Hope you guys are doing all right, man. I am doing pretty good. I can't complain, man. Hey, you know what it is. It's me. It's another edition. I got lots to get into tonight. But before I do that, make sure you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel. Make sure you go ahead and do so after the show or right now. Hey, if you're not doing anything, well, you are doing something. You're watching me right now. But other than that, hey, also, you can also find me on my social media platforms, which are scrolling down below. I appreciate everyone's support, man. I'm going to keep grinding, keep doing this thing for you guys. But like I said at the top of the show, man, we got lots to talk about tonight. Oklahoma, Texas, man, that's crazy news. Well, I wouldn't say it's too crazy because I think those programs were looking to split town, for quite some time right now. I think they're the class of the Big 12. So the Big 12 is going to be reeling. Also want to talk about the NFL COVID policy. The NFL came out and said that, hey, we want to make sure all these players are vaccinated. And if you happen to have a teammate that isn't vaccinated and they happen to get COVID, they're just going to automatically forfeit the games. And who knows what that means. And a lot of players are feeling the pressure, such as Cole Beasley, DeAndre Hopkins. I'll talk about that. Also want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. They opened up camp this past week. I was not able to make it. I was planning on to, but I couldn't get a chance to get out there. But I do want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. And the big question going into this new season is, who's more valuable to the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott? I'll give you my thoughts on that. Also, Aaron Rodgers in the news today. Him and the Packers are working on a deal to work something out. This is probably the last dance for for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And what does that mean for the other players like Devontae Adams who are looking for big money? And finally tonight, I want to talk about the Lakers. There's a lot of reports going on that maybe they might be in the market for Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook. Kyle Kuzma and a few other players are on the trading block. Guys that I've heard, Kyle Kuzma, KCP, who knows what's going to happen with the Lakers, but I'll share my thoughts on that as well. But hey, let's just get straight into it. So Oklahoma and the University of Texas has notified the Big 12 that they will no longer renew their TV rights, media rights to the Big 12 network. They are still under contract until 2025, but some officials say that they will try to get out of the Big 12 sooner than that. And they've already let the SEC know that they want to move. They want to get into the SEC, which, here's the thing. Texas, okay, they haven't really done anything worth like anything of championship noteworthiness, I guess, per se. But I will say they are a big brand. The University of Texas, when you see those Longhorns, you know what it is. Oklahoma has produced several Heismans here in the last couple of years with Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. They've been in the Final Four of the playoffs the last couple of years as well. So that's a very marquee team. And why wouldn't they not want to get into the SEC? I mean, literally, the SEC is arguably, if not the best football conference in America, college football conference in North America. And it'd be pretty hard to debate that. I would say there might be some people out there who want to debate that, but honestly, I don't even think it's even close. The Big 12 obviously is not that good, especially if Oklahoma and Texas leaves. You think about the Pac-12. The Pac-12 really hasn't been relevant since USC, and that's when they were the Pac-10. Then you look at the Big 10. The Big 10 has some teams. Ohio State has been basically carrying that conference. Wisconsin, but other than that, I mean, who else is out there? The ACC, no. Clemson really is carrying that conference. So pound for pound, if you look at the teams, SEC probably has more teams than any other conference than in North America. And if you add an Oklahoma or a Texas, that I mean, really, because if you think about it right now, okay, Alabama, okay, they're in there. LSU, Auburn, and each of these teams have won a national championship in the last 10, 15 years. Okay. Some multiple. Then, it kind of tapers off there, right after that, you got your Ole Misses, your Mississippi States, your Arkansas, but to add an Oklahoma and a Texas, that just bolster that conference altogether. Now, this is a money thing as well, too. I mean, granted, the Longhorns do have their own television network produced by ESPN. Not sure how that's going to work out, but Oklahoma doesn't. Oklahoma and Texas are always on TV. So it's not more of an exposure thing. I think they just know, hey, there's more money to be made in the SEC versus the Big 12. Because really, if you think about it, outside of those two teams, who's another marquee team in that conference other than OU and Texas? I mean, Texas Tech, they're nice, I guess, but they're not those two universities. Oklahoma State, they try to get there. They've been close to being on the cusp of being into national relevance, but they just haven't been able to get it done. Who else? Kansas State. I don't think so. Baylor a few years ago with RG3. Now that's a solid program. Now they had some controversy. They kind of cleared that up a little bit. They're decent, but still, they're not a big time program as well, at least in comparison to the numbers wise when viewers tune in to watch a college football game. So, I mean, and let me know if I'm wrong, if there's any other teams that you can think of, but really off the bat, I don't see why they wouldn't want to make this move. Now, the Big 12 will have to fill a huge void. Now, how do they do that? Well, here's two things you have to consider. If these two teams leave, other teams in the Big 12 are going to be like, why are we going to stay? We probably need to split. And if they don't leave, who are they going to get to replace these teams? Now, I've heard teams like Cincinnati be brought up. Like, that's a nice team. But, I'm not saying they're going to go out and replace an Oklahoma and a Texas. You just don't do that. Honestly, the Big 12 would be better off maybe merging with like the Pac-12 and creating some type of conference out of that. Because, honestly, UCLA, USC, Arizona State, Oregon, those teams have a little cachet, not a lot. And out of those teams probably mentioned, USC and Oregon, those are probably the only two teams in the Pac-12 that have some like real national relevance, and more so Oregon just because of the recruiting. And just, they're Oregon. They got the cool jerseys and they're backed by Nike, right? So why not maybe try to create some type of super conference and do something like that? Do I think it's a bad move for Oklahoma or Texas to move? No, I don't think so. I think it just helps their recruiting. It helps their pockets. Because look, it's the SEC. We all watch SEC games. I mean, I don't care who you are. If you watch college football, you know that the SEC is pound for pound the best conference in all of college football. So I wouldn't say it's a terrible move. I would say it's going to definitely hurt the Big 12 if and when this happens, because it's going to happen. Oklahoma and Texas, they're not just saying, it's a reason why they're not renewing their contract, and they're going to try to get out of it. And I think it's going to cost each school about 75 to 80 million to leave early, which for those universities, that's between all their alumni and all the other people that they have, the boosters, that's walking around change for those types of schools. So I don't foresee that being an issue. And I can see them here in the next 2 or 3 years being in the SEC. And how that's going to work, I don't know how that realignment will work, but it's going to be exciting. The SEC have basically just gotten better just overnight with just those two teams. So I don't know. We'll see. Speaking of better or not better, the NFL has come out and said that there could be possible forfeits of games and loss of salary for players who elect out of getting the vaccine. Now, this is a very touchy subject in our society. A lot of people do not feel they want to get this vaccine. And a lot of people think that people should. Now the NFL is saying, look, we're not going to miss games over this like we did last year. We're not going to, run around with our heads cut off trying to make up games and schedule this and test that, which I totally understand. Okay. But it's one of those things again where this is a privilege to play in the NFL. Like, I'm not mad at the NFL. This is the rules. This is what they want to do. So be it. It is what it is. But then you get, players who, again, guys that should probably just stick to playing football or basketball, speaking about stuff they really don't know what the hell they're talking about. Cole Beasley has elected to say, oh, I'll retire. Same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, which is great. Now, Cole Beasley is not DeAndre Hopkins, but listen, I'm going to put them in the same pile just for the sake of argument. Look, guys, Cole, DeAndre, you guys are solid players. DeAndre, you're a superstar talent, Hall of Famer, right? Look, you guys are worried about the vaccine. This is your job. Your job is requiring that you guys do it. You got to go ahead and do it, or you don't do it. And if you don't do it, then you don't play, but you don't need to make a scene. All right. These guys are concerned about their welfare, their well-being. And look, let's just be real. The NFL has not cared about football players in quite some time. Hell, they still don't. They really don't. That they added an extra game to the season, which the players voted on. Okay. The NFL, they really just don't care about the whole CTE. Now, it's come to light here in the last couple of years, but really overall, the NFL is an organization that really cares nothing about their players. And now all of a sudden, these players who've basically risked their lives every year since they've been 5 and 6 years old to compete in a sport that's very violent and has a propensity of you obtaining some type of brain injuries of some sort, but they're afraid to get a needle. So it's kind of contradictory. It's like you're saying you're about your life and your health, but you play a sport which is very detrimental to your whole well-being and your safety, and a league that really doesn't care. But now you're upset that they're forcing you to take this shot in order to play. Now, I get it. I get the NFL, what they're doing. They're putting this is basically peer pressure. They're basically saying, all right, look, everyone else is getting it. You don't get it, and you be the guy who contracts COVID-19 or whatever variant we got going on at this point. We're not making up the game for you. It could be a playoff game, whatever. It could be the Super Bowl. Who cares? You're going to be that guy, and you're not going to be a very popular guy in the locker room. And so they're forcing players this way. They're basically strong-arming these guys in order to do it. And in the case of DeAndre Hopkins, Cole Beasley, if he retires, I don't think anybody would really bat an eye. There's another Cole Beasley somewhere in the league who hasn't got their shot yet. Same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. Hell of a talented player. I'm not saying there's another guy like that, but let's just be real. There are probably other receivers who are just like him, if not better, or will be better than him, who have taken their vaccination, and it is what it is. Like, hey, I'm not going to get on here and say you should or should not take the shot because I'm pro-choice. It's whatever you want to do, whatever fits your circle of influence. That's what I'm all about. So I'm not going to sit here and say, but let's just be real, guys. You guys play professional football. If you're that concerned about the vaccine and its health risk and stuff like that, I totally get it. You've probably been educated a little bit about it, but let's just be real. You guys play a dangerous sport. Now, the caveat to that is with the NFL. So you get the test, you get the vaccine, you're good to go. And there was a report today that the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, Frank Reich, he already had taken the vaccine and still contracted the virus. So what does that say? It's like, well, because a lot of people, there's this notion out there that people feel like if you get this vaccination, you're good. You're never going to get COVID. It's quite the opposite. You're still prone to it. It just might lessen the symptoms or whatever happens to you. And there are other variants out there, different types of, variations of this coronavirus out there. So who knows? I think for me, the whole thing is just ridiculous at the end of the day. They have to wear masks when they're on the sideline, but then they can take the mask off and compete. And it's like, it just, none of this stuff makes no sense. And I think we're getting away. We're getting away from this common sense period. And I think COVID-19 has really shown that there's a lot of overthinking going on. And I'm just a guy here in Henderson, Nevada with the podcast. I don't know, but to me, I feel like it's a little bit nonsensical in some of the rules and policies that I see. Like I'm watching the Olympics and I'm seeing, I'm watching judo and jiu-jitsu. These guys are wrestling and they're grappling with each other. As soon as the match is over, they have to wear a mask. It's like, well, for 20, 30 minutes, you just competed. You all up in each other in some areas that I won't imagine to say, but you were very intimate with this person for 25, 30 minutes, but now you got to wear a mask. So it just seems to me, it doesn't make any sense, but I get what the NFL is trying to do. They're not trying to make up any games, and they're going to force guys to get vaccinated. That way they don't have to worry about it. And if those who get it, they get it. And those who don't, they don't. So they're not going to trip on it. So guys, if you want to retire, go for it. It is what it is. We're not going to miss you. Maybe for a game or two, but it's the NFL, man, it's the next man up. And unfortunately, guys like Cole Beasley, No one really cares if you retire, bro. DeAndre Hopkins, same thing. Maybe Cardinals fans might feel some way a little bit, but after a while, it's a machine. The machine will continue to keep rolling with or without you. So I don't know. All right, switching gears real quick, man. We're going to hop back into the NFL here in just a bit, but I do want to talk about the Lakers, man. I want to talk about the Lakers. Lots of rumors swirling around. CP3, Russell Westbrook might be, in the market for the Lakers to possibly go out and get. I'm not sure how that would happen, but there's some rumors, and they are rumors, but I have to address that. And the question is, which point guard basically is the better point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers? Now, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, both are Hall of Famers right now. If they were to retire today, they should be first ballot Hall of Famers. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, Chris Paul is still one of the throwbacks of the traditional point guard. If not the purest point guard still left in the game. Russell Westbrook, who is a point guard in of sorts, but he's a triple-double machine, fierce competitor, doesn't really give a F about what he says and what he does on the court. He's going to give you his all, and that's what he's there to do. In regards to the Lakers, I don't know. A lot of people say, there's this connection between Chris Paul and LeBron James, which I understand. And years ago, Chris Paul probably should have been a Laker, but if it wasn't up for David Stern, who basically nixed that trade deal, we would have had Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul playing together, but we didn't. He ended up going to the Clippers, and the story went on. And then you look at Russell Westbrook, no real relationship with LeBron. I don't know if they're like really good friends, if they're tight like that. I don't know what their relationship is. But if I had to pick between the two, I would probably have to say Russell Westbrook. He's a little younger, and I think he can just. First of all, LeBron is the point guard of any team that he plays on. He really has not had a true point guard that he's ever played with. Kyrie really is not a point guard. He's a scoring guard too as well, just kind of like Russell Westbrook. And I think that benefits the Lakers more so because, look, here's the thing. They need more help scoring wise. Okay. They're good enough defensively with Anthony Davis and LeBron still being there, and who knows who's going to be protecting the paint come next season. But I think defensively they can still do a lot. It's their offensive woes is what really the Lakers struggle with. They don't really have any great shooters. KCP is probably the best shooter on the team, but he might be moved off as well. But in regards to this topic, I think Russell Westbrook could bring a little bit more dynamics to the Los Angeles Lakers, just because I know for a fact he can go out and get his buckets. Not to say that Chris Paul can't go out and get his buckets, but he's a true point guard. He's looking to facilitate. Russell Westbrook is not doing that. There's going to be times LeBron is going to take some breaks off and come off the bench or go to the bench. Russell Westbrook, I know, can go out and get you 30, 40 points, 10 assists, 10 steals, just like that. Now, I do question him as a teammate. I'm not sure how that chemistry will vibe, because Russell Westbrook is an alpha male. Now, LeBron, to me, he wants to be considered an alpha male, but I don't really think he is. I think he's passive aggressive for the most part. And I don't know how that would work, that dynamic between Russell Westbrook, LeBron, and AD, because those are the guys that are going to be there. The rest of the team is up for grabs. We don't know who's going to be on this team next season, but we do know LeBron and AD will be back. We don't know AD's health moving forward. Will he be able to play a full season? LeBron too. I mean, he hasn't played a full season in the last 2 to 3 out of 3 years. So it's something interesting. But I would have to go with Russell Westbrook, just because I know he's a guy that can go after it. And Chris Paul, to me, like I said on my show last week, I'm not going to take away from his career. I think he's a great player, but there's something about him I don't like about him, man. But again, who am I? He wouldn't care if I liked him or not. I love his game, but I think Russell Westbrook would probably fit better with LeBron, just because, Chris Paul's a point guard. He needs the ball, and without the ball, he can't be a point guard. And I think Russell Westbrook is a little bit better off the ball. He can play without the ball every now and then, but then he can also go out and go get you some buckets, which I feel like the Lakers need, because right now the Lakers really have no scoring. They have just no scoring. If AD doesn't have it going and LeBron doesn't feel engaged enough, the Lakers are in trouble. They don't really have anybody else. Now, there are other guys out there who I feel like I wish they would probably go out and get, like a Bradley Beal, but I don't know if they have the trade assets to go out and get a Bradley Beal. So Even with Russell Westbrook, I'm not sure what his contract situation is, but this was just a rumor that was out there. Then I figured, you know what, I got to address it. I have to address it. So we'll see. But let me know what you guys think, man. Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook? I don't know, man. I'm going with Russell. I'm going with Russell, man, all the way. So, all right, moving on, picking between two players. You know, the Dallas Cowboys opened up their training camp this past Wednesday, I believe. Them and the Steelers, because they're going to be playing in the Hall of Fame game, I believe, next weekend, which I'm excited about. I was trying to make it out to Oxnard. I made it to California, but I could not get to Oxnard. But hey, I still got hope. I might be able to get out there sooner or later. But anyway, the question that was posed, and I've been seeing a lot, especially around the Dallas Cowboys, fan pages and websites and et cetera, with that coming off the injury, Zeke looking pretty good. I think he's down to like 210, 208, looking pretty light, mobile. Maybe he might be the Zeke of his rookie year. I don't know. But the question is, who's the most important to the Dallas Cowboys going into this 2021-2022 season? Is it Dak Prescott, the quarterback, the guy who just got paid tons of money? Or is it Ezekiel Elliott, the bell cow running back, the guy that a lot of people feel is going to have a bounce back season? I am not one. I hope he does, because it helps the Cowboys, but I don't think he will. But who is more important out of those two players, Dak or Zeke? Now, before I give you my pick, I'll just say this. They're both equally important for sure. Now, and I'll start with Ezekiel Elliott. The Cowboys are built to run the football. At least they were in the past couple of years or so, with that offensive line being one of the top, let's say, 5 to 10 offensive lines in all of football. Now, are they in the top 5? When healthy, yes, they are a top 5 offensive line, but we haven't had health be on their side in quite some time. Tyron Smith, he was looking pretty lean as well too, which he always does when he comes into the season. It's the thing with him. One injury, boom, he's done for the year. La'el Collins missed all of last year because he elected to get a surgery. We had some other, Travis Fredericks, he retired. We still have, we have our other guys that are still there, but, and Zach Martin, but they haven't all been together in quite some time. Now I feel like they've drafted well. They went ahead and got a center out of Nebraska, Biadic. So we'll see, but I don't know. So to circle back to my point with Zeke definitely in the first years of his career was definitely the most important player. Now he's gotten into a little bit of trouble. He had the 1 year where he was suspended, then not suspended, not suspended. He ended up missing 5 or 6 games. And I think after that, he just never really recovered. I think there was a lot going on with him. Is he talented? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When he's engaged, he is, if not the best running back in all of football. But is he engaged? There's times where you've seen him check out of games when things are not going his way, which I can understand if you're a running back and you're not getting the blocking that you need, but still you're one of the best players on the team. You have to have a better attitude than that. Now, some people think he's going to bounce back and lead this team to prominence. I'm not sure about that. And then you look at Dak, on the other hand, who's coming off the gruesome injury that took place, I believe, week 4, week 5 against the New York Giants at home. Watching that play still in my head, I just was like, I remember how dead silent that arena was. I wasn't even there, but you can just tell from on TV how big of an impact that was when he went down, and the fact is that Dak Prescott, to me, is very important. He's, obviously he's, excuse me one second. No, excuse me. Sorry about that. He got paid. A lot of people are mad that he got paid. A lot of people don't even think he's a top 5 quarterback, which fine, whatever. There's all these arguments about, well, he hasn't beaten anybody. Okay. It's hard to beat good teams in the National Football League. Okay. Not everybody's Patrick Mahomes. Not everybody's Tom Brady or even Russell Wilson. And if you look at Russell Wilson and guys like that, he's had success. He's got him a Super Bowl. He's won divisions, but what much has he's done lately in the playoffs as well too. It's a team effort. I'll say this though, to me, Dak is the most important moving forward. He's the quarterback. This is a pass-driven league, and the guy throwing the ball, the play caller, the signal caller, whatever you want to call it, has got to be the most important guy in your locker room and on your team. And I think the Dallas Cowboys and the management, Jerry and Stephen Jones, they recognize that, and that's why they paid the man. They paid him what they paid him. A lot of people aren't. They're not. I mean, especially in Cowboys land, they're upset. They were too. I was not upset. I was like, you know what, pay dude. You know what? Because someone else will. And people are like, no, Dak Prescott. Who's going to pay him? Trust me. Trust me. This guy gets respect from a lot of people. He's not going to be Tom Brady. He's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. Doesn't mean you can't win a Super Bowl if you're not those guys. You can. There's other ways to manufacture winning a Super Bowl, by having a really good team behind you, by having a solid defense, by having a good run game, protection up front, guys to throw the ball to. He has that. Now, the defense for sure is going to have to bounce back from a disastrous year under Mike Nolan. He got the boot. Dan Quinn steps in. We'll see how that goes. But moving forward, for sure, Dak Prescott is the guy. He's the guy. The Cowboys will only go as far he will take us. If the defense is just average, I think Dak can still do what he needs to do. I mean, up until his injury, he was throwing up really great stats, and I get it. A lot of those games, they were fighting to get back in because why? The defense was terrible. He had a problem. He had a problem with turnovers. Zeke as well. A lot of issues. I'm not going to put it all on the defense, but a lot of it was when you score 50 points in a game and you still lose, like that's a defensive problem as well too. And there was some coaching issues as well. Mike McCarthy definitely has a lot to prove, but I feel moving forward, Dak Prescott is going to have a better season. And I think Zeke is going to be Zeke. He's 26, I believe he is. He's still young. He's still a young running back, but it's all about the passing game. And when you could, the thing now with the NFL is you don't always have to necessarily run the football, but you have to be in some spots. You have to be able to run the football. And we saw that with the Super Bowl champs, Tampa Bay. We seen that the year before with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like throughout the season, they weren't like one of the top teams in rushing yards per play, but in times when they needed to go get a run game going, they could. And I think that's what you need. And to have a back like Zeke, now, is he worth the money? No, he's not worth the money because he's not going to be performing at that type of level. But you have him still in reserve. You still have him there. Why not use him? But for sure, I think Dak Prescott is going to be the guy. And this is a very pivotal year for him. This is a year to prove a lot of the doubters. And trust me, there are a lot of I am not one of them. I have been on record saying I think Dak Prescott is one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in all the National Football League. Stats, it is what it is. We can sit here and argue about stats all day long till the cows come home. And I get it. I think you have to talk about some of that, the numbers, the wins, losses. I get that. But there's some other things you have to talk about too, determination, grittiness, leadership abilities. These are all the things that he has. And eventually he won't be the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League probably by next season because somebody else is in line. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, these guys are a lot. They're younger, they're up and coming, they're next and ready to go. And what have they done? Obviously, Lamar Jackson's won an NFL MVP. I'll give him that. But I think Dak can still get it done. He's not, to me, Dak to me, if I had to compare him to like a car, he's like a Honda Accord or like a Toyota Camry, man. Like you get them, they're affordable. They get the job done. They don't break down. But they're not a Lamborghini. They're not going to wow you when they come around the corner. They're not going to do that, but he's going to get the job done. So I feel like Dak is going to be the guy, the most important for the Dallas Cowboys moving forward. So that's where we're at with that. So last topic of the night, man. Speaking of most important guys, Aaron Rodgers is close to working out a deal with the Green Bay Packers. That's going to help probably facilitate him leaving or getting out of Green Bay. And Green Bay, to me, I wouldn't say they won, but I was listening to the radio today. A lot of people were like, well, Aaron Rodgers, man, he did what he had to do, man. He manipulated. Like, look, the Packers were they already knew that they were going to move on from him eventually. If it wasn't this season, it was going to be next season. They drafted Jordan Love for a reason. Now, I think they made a mistake in how they did it by taking him so early. They probably could have fell back and got him later on, or even get somebody else for whatever the reason, right? Aaron Rodgers is going to be done in Green Bay. Now, I would have said he won if they were able to get him out of there now. But the fact that he's going to come back, play out the contract, it gives them a whole season to be like, all right, this is what we got. This is what we're going to be working with. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are we going to put our faith in Jordan Love? And we're going to move forward with him. But they know now that he's going to be done because he's not going to sign an extension. He's not coming back. So Green Bay Packer fans, Soak it in, because this is going to probably be one of the last year, you guys will be pretty good. Other than that, after he leaves, unless you somehow miraculously get lucky and Jordan Love hits, I don't know. But God bless you. Aaron Rodgers is that team. That's why Vegas, the odds makers out here, they didn't know what to do. But with this information coming out today, they have, I believe, the Packers are fourth to win the Super Bowl. So before, no one knew, because he's that important to them. He goes down, or like I said, when he leaves at the end of the season, Green Bay, it's over for you guys. It's done. Unless you draft another quarterback or Jordan Love hits, then you're really lucky, which I've never seen that in a franchise where you get, you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to maybe Jordan Love, and he becomes a Hall of Famer himself. I don't know. But Aaron Rodgers, to me, he looked around, man, and he's like, look, Tom Brady, look what they're doing for him. He left New England. He got more mobility. He can talk freely now. He's in Tampa Bay. He's in an environment where it's not so, suffocating, right? They paid him pretty decent money. They went and got him weapons. And you look at Green Bay, different scenario, because they don't really have like ownership. There's nobody for Aaron Rodgers to really go down the office and talk to. He doesn't really like the management as far as the GMs and stuff like that. And they really haven't done him any favors by getting anybody. Now, luckily, he does have Devontae Adams, who's arguably the best wide receiver in the National Football League. At least according to Madden, he has a 99 rating. No other receiver has that at this point. But a lot can change. But look, other than that, I mean, Aaron Jones is a nice pickup, a nice find, which he was able to re-sign with the Packers. So I think they're trying, but I think it's a little too late. I think when they drafted Jordan Love so high, Aaron Rodgers, he's not for that, man. And I think for him, he just was like, I'm out, man. And I think last year he wanted to go out and prove to people, because a lot of us thought that he didn't have it anymore. And I was one of those people. And he sure does have it still. But we're going to have to wait and see how this season plays out. Honestly, if I were the Packers, I probably would have moved off from him. The fact that he's going to come back for 1 year, but he's not going to sign back with the team, it just feels like you're kind of like, you're better off as maybe going with Jordan Love. And maybe he stinks. You tank it up a little bit. Maybe you get a high draft pick, and then you get a quarterback in this next year's draft, which I don't think it's going to be a great quarterback class. I mean, you got guys. We got to see how Spencer Rattler does. The kid from North Carolina, I forgot his name. USC has a guy coming out as well, and a few other guys, but they're not, these are a lot of guys that we don't have a lot of film on per se. So we'll have to wait and see. Is there a guy in this year's draft? Is this quarterback draft as strong as last year's? Oh, definitely not, but who knows? But we see it in basketball all the time. It's usually not a good deal when you have a disgruntled guy, he wants out, but he's going to stay on the team. It just never works out. And not only is it a guy, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's the guy. He's the guy making all your plays. So I would probably just move off for him. Get what I can for him at this point. Some collateral, maybe a player, maybe a draft pick, something to that effect, and see what Jordan Love has now, man. Instead of waiting next year, because what if they go out and they make it to the NFC Conference Championship again? And now you're so out of the picture as far as draft wise. What was the point? Because he's not coming back. He's not coming back. So I don't know, man. It's just crazy. It's a lot going on in Milwaukee, in that Wisconsin area. The Bucks won the NBA championship, and now they have to deal with Aaron Rodgers possibly. Well, not possibly. He is done with the Green Bay Packers, and it is what it is. It's sad, but there's a little. I don't know the full story on everything, but I would say management could have did a better job, especially last year when the draft, when they could have came to him and said, "Hey, look, we're going to take a quarterback. You're the guy. You're the guy until you don't want to be the guy anymore. Okay. We're going to make you, we're going to make that known that you're the guy until you, Aaron Rodgers, don't want to be the guy. Cause we have to take, cause we don't know how much longer you're going to play. So we have to get someone in the building, right? We can't wait, and they probably didn't even do that. And you can't do that to a superstar like Aaron Rodgers, a guy that's won a Super Bowl, a guy who's a first-time ballot Hall of Famer. You can't just come in here and just, make it a pissing match and say, we're not going to tell this guy shit, right? We're just going to go and draft who we want to draft and not. It's not like he's some guy. He's Aaron Rodgers. You have to at least, would say, consult him a little bit. Obviously, the decision is up to management, but you have to run that by him. Now, if he comes back and he's like, no, you guys can't take a quarterback, F that, then that's on him, because he has to be fair too. It's like, look, well, I got like 2 or 3 years left, maybe, possibly, right? I need to let them know that, so that way they can go ahead and start doing what they need to do as a franchise. So it is what it is. But that's professional sports, man. It's a business. But it's going to be interesting how this is all going to play out when the season starts. Now, I believe their camp starts in a couple of days, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe over the weekend. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But interesting stuff, interesting times, man. But hey, anyway, that's all I got, man. That's the show for tonight, man. You can guys hit me up again. You guys can see me on Friday at the same time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. You can catch me on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter live streaming. Make sure you hit up my YouTube channel right now. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, man. I'm trying to pump those numbers up. Make sure you check out all my other videos that are listed there as well. The link is in my bio on all of my social media platforms. But hey, enjoy the rest of your week. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. I can't wait. I got to see the Deshaun Watson, how that's going to play out. So maybe by Friday, a lot of stuff is going to play out with him. We're going to see how that goes with him when he reports to Texans camp. But other than that, man, that's all I got, man. So until next time, this is me, your boy, Ryan Flowers, a.k.a. Clutch Sports Talk. Never settle till the work is done. Let's go, guy. Peace.